9 o'clock here, I want to go ahead and call this special workshop meeting of the Commissioners Court. Today is Wednesday, July 1st, 9 a.m. We're in the Emergency Operations Center here at Deputy Miller Drive here in Granbury. And the purpose of this workshop is to meet with county officials to address the current state of fire protection in the county. This is an informative meeting to present challenges to any departments may have and answer any questions our county officials may have. I first want to say that, I'll tell you one thing, from what I hear about everybody, our volunteer fire department system here at Hood County is second to none. That ours is just the best there is. And boy, I, for one, want to really work with you guys and make sure that y'all have just the best equipment and everything that we can, and I would really like for everybody to really work together as much as we can. I mean, y'all done an outstanding job, and this is such an important part to the safety of property and persons here in Hood County, and y'all do an excellent job. I mean, you really do. And Jeff Young would normally be here, but his sister was exposed to the you-know-what, and so he had to quarantine himself. Is he going to be available to us by video?
So he'll be on call.
He's calling?
Phone call.
Yeah, he's on the phone and hold.
Okay.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can't see
Okay.
you. Why can't we see you? You in your bathrobe or something?
That's all right.
Well, I may or may not have pants on.
Well, all right, well, I made the proper introduction, so go ahead and it's your meeting really, so go ahead and tell me.
Hey,
There
Judge,
you go. There you
Judge,
go.
Can we do something first?
Sure.
Is have all the fire chiefs, kind of tell us who y'all are with and who you're from.
That's
kinda
a real
introduce
good
yourself to
idea.
us, and I know some of you I don't know, so I guess we can start over there, and just over here.
I'm Mike Bell, Chief of North Hood County, also the Vice President of the board.
Yes. I know you, I've met you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I'm Gary Tillison. I'm the chief at Station 70 out in George Springs.
So you too, good. Who's next?
I'm Ron Becker, the fire chief from Crescent.
Good. Sitting there, chief, next to your mayor.
Yes.
Kevin Andrews, Chief of Lipan.
Stephen Boyd, Chief of DCBE Acton.
Okay,
Bob Gallagher, Chief of Indian Harbor.
good.
Matt Holon, I'm the Chief of Granbury.
Good. Is that everybody? All right. It's a good idea, Commissioner. Okay. Take it away, Jeff.
So, Judge, I kind of find myself in a unique situation. I consider all of those guys that you're sitting there in that room with, those are my brothers. I've worked with most of these guys for a long time. I think I've explained before that I do this job out of passion, not out of necessity. Try to do the best I can for all of these guys in their departments and meet their needs and the best support I can give them. At the same time, employed by the five of you up there, trying to do the best I can to get you the best value for the money that's being spent. Instead, I feel like our fire service put against any fire service in the state outshining. All work very well together. They do the best they can with what they have. But at the same time, I know they could use more to do their job a little easier. The whole idea behind this was we've had a couple of meetings. They've expressed some concerns and questions that I couldn't answer without input of you. My hope was to get them all in the same room, propose their questions. You guys can ask questions to them of how that material is being used or what they need it for. The thing is just to understand the service itself, the amount of hours that they put into training, the equipment that they maintain, the jobs that they do. I think I could say enough that the incredible value for the money that we have for the service they provide is irreplaceable. The apologize that I can't be there for the unfortunate reason of my sister. Did come and possibly have a contact exposure to, she thinks she was at the tail end of it, but just on the error of side of caution, I want to take the risk of potentially being been exposed and then sharing that with everyone else. So that's all I got.
Okay. Does anybody have is there any topic you wanted to bring up about anything or any of the fire chiefs? Yes.
If it's okay, Judge, I've got I don't want a long deal. I got a one-page quickie handout to tell you what's going on in Crescent and kind of what we've got, where we're short and where we're long, and I'd be happy to take 10 minutes and go over that if that
Good.
it
Well,
helps
let's
get
start with
helps
that.
get the ball
Okay,
rolling.
good.
Yeah.
You wanna?
Judge, Commissioner, one of the things we're all here for is the future, you know, the last couple of years, the future of the firefighting service. Our run volumes has almost tripled in the last 10 years. The funding hadn't gone up much. Most departments, if we're not hurting already, will be hurting within the next 4 to 5 years if we don't get some help. I can show here, I brought 2 years worth of tax returns. I can show where our donations have actually gone down because some of our bigger fundraiser people have passed away. This year is gonna hurt us real bad because we haven't been able to have our fish fry, our barbecue. Everyone else falling under the same situation. Because of this COVID-19 situation, some of our funding has actually been put off, such as the refurbs, which that's a different subject. Last year the ball got dropped when Mr. Wilson left and CG took over. We were promised some gear. That never happened. I think we're all gonna speak for the same thing. You know, about the funding, help with gear.
Well, fortunately, we've got Becky Kidd here, who's the auditor around here, and she's just gonna have to help us find some money here. And, you know, we're gonna put the pressure on her. Ms. Kidd, did you hear that?
Oh, yeah, I heard that.
Okay, well, I just wanted to make sure, and Jay's up here listening, that maybe because of this, we could stretch some of this CARES money into stuff that you think, since we couldn't, COVID's responsible for these people not being able to have their fish fries and barbecues and stuff like that. Do you think that we could kind of try to see if we
Small
can get?
window that you can use some of that stuff for, but some of the answers that I've already gotten back on some things that y'all asked me to do is, it's a slippery slope. And so the justification for something that we use full time all the time, that becomes, well, why are you trying to buy it with this money when you have to buy it all the time? So it's just, what I was gonna brief on before I have to leave at 9:30 is, what y'all think that we can decontamination stuff like that? I'm buying extra PPE and stocking that up just so that I have it for the county, have it for what we've been doing behind the scenes. Get Jeff a list of that kind of stuff so that we can look at it to see what I can fund through the CARES program between now and December. I'm not telling you no, so with the exception of a fire truck, we'll put a fire truck on there. I can already tell you that ain't gonna happen. But that doesn't mean that bunker gear can't be put on there because it may need to be replaced because you may have been exposed and it's something that we couldn't be contaminated to go away. So leave your list very broad and put it on there if you think, and we'll look at it. What's the least they can do is tell me what? No. And so, with that being said, whatever y'all think or need, that you're seeing that you need, please put a list together, get that to Jeff, and we'll start looking at it to see what I can actually get funded.
And if right here, right now, let me think of something, like when you said the fish fry and barbecue that I've attended for y'all up
Yes,
there,
sir.
you know, every fire department here, I think, volunteer fire department has that. Don't y'all all have a barbecue or fish fry? Show us what you've been making the last 2 years on that, and then just state that we were unable to have these events. This is money that we've lost because we can't get together on that, and we're gonna try to submit it. Let's make them tell us no on the deal. That, like you said, they can't incarcerate us. We got our own sheriff here. They can just tell us no. So let's try to get the money if we possibly can on the deal. We should have it. So really show us what y'all have lost through the volunteer efforts of doing what y'all have done, the fish fries, the barbecues, the things that y'all have had, and how much revenue each department has lost because of that. And we're gonna try to say that's directly attributable to COVID-19, which it is, and we're gonna try to get that. So, we're gonna,
Hey, Judge,
yes,
may I interject for a second?
sure,
So I can tell you, as the previous chief of Indian Harbor, when I retired in January, there have been, for about the last 5 years, we have talked about maybe even doing away with the fish fry itself for Indian Harbor, because it's really turned into more of a PR event. By the time we spend the money to buy the materials, the manpower, everything that we put into that, we were clearing about $2,500 for the entire event. $2,500, we're barely able to buy a set of bunker gear. This fundraiser that we had with Indian Harbor was usually our annual mail out. That attributed to being about 25 to 30% of our annual budget.
okay. Well, we still wanna try though, about everything that we can possibly do. And, let's put our thinking caps on about getting somebody. I hate to say this.
Well,
Okay.
I meant to add is I have had the fire department sending me their budgets for the last 3 years, and I've got a lot of them sitting on my desk that I really hope to present to you guys this morning. I can't do that from home, but when I'm able to get my sister cleared and find out whether or not she's still positive or not, I can get those papers to you.
Okay, well, good. Well, anything that we can to try to raise some money, it's always comes down to money. That's where every department needs it, and because of this COVID, everybody's gonna be short. We're trying to cut things down, and we need more money, so we're gonna have to work together. I guess I'll have to call my good friend Julia Pinnell again. Every time we get some the deal, I ask her, you're laughing, you know what I'm talking about. She will work on it, and she's done so much, and I'm gonna get with her and just ask her. I know what she's done for the senior citizens and how much that's come along, and I'm gonna have to ask her. We'll get together and see if we can think of something for the fire department to raise some money. This is so important. I mean, we really do. I'm gonna make up my new calls to help the fire departments out. We really gotta do this, so that's good. Well, Chief Becker, you're the one that started this, so let's go on to you right now and see what you got.
Just like Chief Bell said, Crescent, and you will hear it from all of us in here, you know, with the county booming the way that you guys have put it together to boom, we just get called on more and more and more. And what happens when when we get these volumes increasing, all of us have to bring on more volunteers to get the work done. Volunteers cost us money. We have to equip them, we have to train them, and when I took over as chief, Crescent had 26 members, and now we're in the mid-50s, and that's what it has taken to keep up with the way things have been going up. It also means we gotta have more trucks and equipment, because in the last couple of weeks, I've had 3 or 4 times where we had multiple calls going at the same time. So you gotta have additional equipment so that you can go in different directions with the different people. And Crescent's call volume, this graph that's on here, every one of these guys can give you the same graph, and it's gonna show, you know, increases. You know, we're up 80-some-odd% over the last 4 years. The good thing that I've always admired Hood County for is, in total, you guys and the ones before you, you've watched the tax dollars really good. And I gave you a little table here that kind of compares not just the county chunk of taxes, but if you live outside of a city in some of these other counties that's out in my area, you can see how economically Hood County has done over the years running its business. And I think y'all ought to be proud of that. And if you take the county budget and you just go to the fire department lines, you know, it'll be less than 1 cent per 100 that backs out that's going over to the fire department, whereas you see these other counties spending a lot more money, and I would say not getting really that much more, if anything, for it. And I did a little study. I looked at some of the surrounding departments that have brought on paid firefighters or tried to feather them in with their volunteers. And those jurisdictions that I could get their budget and take a look at it and divide it by their ad valorem tax rate, if you believe that those people are staffing at the level that it takes to start to replace the volunteer force with paid people, you're talking an ad valorem tax of somewhere in 25 cents to do it. It's stupendous what is the tax burden that pops up if we let the volunteer force deteriorate. It's big money. Most of your paid departments are 85% cost personnel. And you're here, sitting here with your only personnel cost to speak of is the workers' comp and, you know, some things along those lines. And I believe that it's important for us as fire chiefs and for you on your side of the fence, we gotta do everything we can to keep Hood County from finding itself in the bind where it doesn't have the volunteer force and is looking at some of these type of numbers like other people have gotten themselves into. Mayor Conway's here with me. I'm on our city council. I know that everybody comes in and everybody can say, here's my problem and I need more help for this and I need more help for that. I hope we don't come across to you as just another person walking in the room saying, hey, we'd like to do more, give us more money. You haven't seen us doing this for several years. All of us have been winding around it and patching up and keeping things running. The average age of a fire truck in the Crescent Fire Department is 16 years. And when you've got, Jeff has the bill to process. I just dropped a new engine in a brush truck that's a 20-year-old truck. None of us would in our personal business probably go put a new engine in a 20-year-old truck. Now this particular truck, we put a new transmission in it 4 years ago and I put a new pump on it, so it's kind of like a new truck where I think it was the right thing to do. But every one of these guys in the room, last meeting we had, every one of us had a sick truck that we were trying to figure out how to put together and keep going, because we're just called on for these trucks to move out more, and we're having to use more of them. The contract subsidy payments that you're giving us is $1,580 a month per department. And, I can tell you with Crescent's, almost a third of it goes to just pay the utility bill. The garage door breaks, we're jungling around. I had a garage door break last month on one of our bays, and till we could figure out how we're gonna do it, we had to move trucks around so that we could drive the truck out the other door, you know, to get it out. But we're doing that for you, and we should be doing that for you. You guys have kept a tight belt, and we need to keep a tight belt, and we're trying to. But we're to the point now on these contract subsidies where there's nothing left over when we get a new volunteer in to get them equipped, like we used, like when we weren't being pressured as much. There's nothing in that subsidy for us to, when we have to add trucks, buy the axes and the tools that we have to put on it, and we're getting in a bind. The repair budget, we don't know when these trucks are gonna break down, but we all know that this year, Jeff is dealing with it. We're 2/3 through the year, we're pretty well committed our repair budget, and we've still got broken trucks because we're all running these older things and trying to keep them going. And this past weekend, we were working mechanics on a broken truck, you know, our guys did it, we got it going. We don't try to spend this money just going down to the Cadillac place and saying, fix us up. We're doing everything we can to avoid dipping in that repair budget, but it's gonna, we're almost to the point, I think several of us will tell you, if we don't have a little more repair money, we're gonna have to park trucks. We're not gonna be able to roll them out of the door. The other thing that I think all of us agree that we're in a bind on is the air-breathing air packs that we have to use to be able to breathe, so that our guys don't get hurt and our ladies don't get hurt. You know, the ones on the county truck, we were gonna replace those as the truck's refurbished. And frankly, we're kind of to the point where we really need to go ahead and at least let us, those of us whose trucks are doing okay and maybe a few years down the road, we're to the point where we don't have working air packs on some of these trucks to be able to put people out. And when we can't do it, we can't put these people out there because if they get, that we can't let them get hurt. We just can't do it. We talked about the truck refurbishment. Y'all's predecessors, maybe some of y'all were here when you bought these pumper tankers back in 2000, 2001. You really were cutting edge. The county was. It did a wonderful thing for it. It revolutionized what was going on in the Hood County Fire Service. And I think we all agree that on a process like that, there's always going to be bobs and weaves and things that need to be improved as you put your toe in the water with that. But Mike's got a truck that's been half refurbished just through repairs, you know, up to this point, because these trucks they're 20 plus years old. I mean, our truck is our laundry list of things that we're waiting for the county mechanic to come and do. None of them have grounded our truck, but you know, our truck probably could not pass state inspection right now until we get some things fixed on it. And they're not things that keeps us from running the truck out, but those are the sort of issues that we're facing. And then lastly, we all know that the sheriff has led the way over the past few years trying to figure the most economical way to take our public service radio system and get it a little bit updated. And obviously, he's looking for what we need when he's talking to you guys about that. We know that's a big, big pill to swallow and everything, but we're certainly, all of us are cheering him on as he tries to put that together. And I don't wanna, I've had my say, and I don't wanna monopolize it, and I don't wanna confuse you with a ton of stuff, and I don't wanna sound like we're coming in here saying, oh, the sky's falling. It's not falling. We'll keep it going. But just like Mike said, if we wouldn't be doing our job if we weren't telling you guys that we're seeing some real danger signs these days about what shape we may be in 2 or 3 years if we don't adjust a few things. And that would be the Crescent view of it. We all have little different views. All fire chiefs are type A personalities, so I will tell you, none of us will agree on most of anything, but I hope that the folks that's in the room tend to agree a little bit with what I handed you here from the Crescent
Yeah,
perspective.
well, every department's different. I mean, you got Toller, you got Live Pan, you got Crescent. One thing is I like to ask, kind of considering Crescent, Toller, and Live Pan. I know Hurley's over there, Matt's not here, but don't the city of Toller kind of donate the, water and stuff like that to the fire department? Are the other small communities, towns doing that? I know you're a city councilman.
Yes,
And the mayor's here from
Yes.
Crescent, so.
I
I think that's required. I think by
Yeah.
state law they
And I
have to
know,
get
I mean,
fire.
that's a help. I mean, that's more,
Oh, yes.
more help to getting from the smaller communities.
we get good help from our city.
Yeah.
Of course, we got a unique thing because our city limits goes into 3 different counties.
Yeah.
And there's some counties that within the city limits are not helping the way that Hood County has helped, and our city has stepped up to try to help fill that gap, which is, not an issue on the Hood County side. But Crescent, the cities, granted, I try to help because I'm on the city council, but the city has
So we
been,
got one there.
the city's carrying its load too.
That's
on
good.
this
That's, I
thing.
mean, everybody
Yes.
needs to help.
Yes, sir.
The air pack issue, I know back when Ray come and talked to me, he was telling me, we was getting in trouble on air packs. We kind of come up with a system, and I guess it kind of fell through the cracks since he
No.
left, and,
No, sir.
okay, all right, because we was doing a replacement where it don't clobber the county all at one time, doing several, spreading them out where
Right.
it don't happen at one time, so that's still going on.
We spent $70,733 in April of last year. That's the air packs you're talking about with CG. We did process that, and that did get taken care of.
Okay, those air packs, that went on engine 70, and did you not get any? Okay.
I think
And
the
that was
air
just
pack
one
order
tr-
offsets
that was just
went
one
to
truck
February
then.
before it was.
So,
But
somebody
we
got
did-
cut short
Yeah.
then, but
What they were gonna
Clear.
do is they were gonna replace these air packs as the engines got, and Ron opened this up, but as the engines got refurbished, they were gonna replace the air packs, since the air packs on them trucks, county trucks, are 20 years old now.
yeah.
Well, this was the only request we've had.
My engine is the one that, it just got back from the pump shop, and this is a warning for everybody. They just sent all the parts they pulled out of this engine, out of the pump. The impeller was about to explode. It's a good thing that the seal went out, or it would have cost
Yeah,
us
Jeff told us.
3 times the amount. And I know my engine has not been used as much as some of these others. Our run volume isn't quite as high as everyone else's. But the impeller on that pump was about to shell. I've got all the parts, if anybody wants, they're at the station, if anybody wants to see them. Any of these pump or tankers, them pumps probably need to look at pretty quick. I know my truck got put on hold for the refurb because nobody was pleased with E1 for one.
I just need to-
Like I said, I've already had the pump rebuilt, I just got it back yesterday. It's back in service, but I'm not for sure, I haven't even seen the bill on it. I think it was somewhere around 7,000 to 8,000, wasn't it, Jeff? You seen anything?
Yes, it's gonna be close to about 8,000. I haven't seen the invoices yet either.
Like Ron said, it was partially refurbed anyway, because we had the fan blade disintegrate and went through the radiator back in November, and that cost another, I think that was like 16,000. So,
I think, Commissioner, what you're hearing on the air packs is like he said, and she said, we've started down the road and we've gotten partway there with some of the trucks that's already been refurbished. We understand this refurbishing deal we're trying to stretch out.
Yeah.
And we're good. We're trying to put the trucks that we think will keep running toward the end and like that. But what you're hearing us say is that waiting till the refurbishment to get these air packs done, a lot of us are having a lot of concerns that that's something that we could wait for with just that piece of
Okay,
equipment.
well, I thought there was a plan going on. I know
Yes,
we've
sir,
been through
there
3
is.
fire marshals in a year. And
Yes.
probably some things fell through the cracks during
Right.
one coming in, so. I
There,
guess we
there
need to
is, there is a plan.
Jeff's
on
getting on top of it.
What you're hearing us say, and I think you can, you know, these guys can raise their hand, is we think that plan is putting some of our folks in a bad situation that we're gonna have to
Standard for a month?
accelerate that a little bit. That's what we're trying to say for those of us that hadn't done the refurbs yet.
Okay,
So we've refurbed 3, 2, so we've got 10 air packs refurbed. How many more do we need, Jeff?
Right, so just as an update, the refurb for engine 6 is finally been squared away. At the next court, I was gonna have, I think it's about $12,900 is the difference between what the RFE is and what the invoice is. I know that's gotta go through court before we can do that. The next step to that was I was going to try to renegotiate the refurb agreement with E1. Some caveats in there with some refunds on late delivery and things that aren't done and that kind of stuff. So that's in progress. One of the things that in our budget request was to place all of the air packs on all the county trucks. I sent them all kind of a rough guess estimate on what that was gonna cost. I actually have the quote, all of the air packs on the county trucks done, and was gonna submit that as well. Hopefully we'll be able to get the air pack squared away pretty quick, and I'm really hopeful that we'll get the refurb back on track pretty soon.
yeah. And to my defense, I thought we was good on air packs. I mean,
Oh,
I'm
no,
finding out
I'm-
now we're not. So
If
I
it's-
thought everything was good, cause we had to
We're not
refurbish
throwing
it.
any rocks at you. I
No,
hope it
no,
don't sound
no,
that
and
way.
it's good to have this meeting, cause I mean, like I said, we've been through 3 fire marshals and
Yeah, we have too.
And Jeff's doing, yeah, and Jeff's doing a good job trying to catch up, so I guess some things kind of fell through the cracks when we went through one fire marshal to another one, so, I'm glad we're learning this, so I thought everything was good on air pack.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, I don't wanna be the only one talking, these guys
No.
are in here, but we all met and
Doing
we
good,
said,
Mike, keep going.
we need to step that up, we feel like.
Well, it's good us to know that.
I can see.
On the air pack topic, the air packs that we did buy, we were able to get 13 air packs. So the packs we have enough packs for engine 70, and we put new packs on tanker 84, which was the replacement for engine 82. Being said, one of the caveats with the new air packs is we were advised that if we use the existing masks that we have with the air packs, they'll fit. Any of the firefighters get hurt wearing a new air pack with an old mask, say that we were using faulty equipment. So they can only use the new mask with the new air pack.
Jeff, since you brought that up, and people here don't know the discussions you and I have had on the increase in cost of insurance on the vehicle, one in particular, and the 25% increase, would you bring that to light? Because we have no choice in that, and we want to protect these gentlemen at all costs, but we did not anticipate a 25% increase in workman's comp, and that's hitting us now. That's something you guys don't know
Right.
about.
The VFS representative, he and I had a conversation the other day, and they're saying that coming here in the next cycle, that the work comp insurance is going to increase by 25%. Reason for that is the insurance industry has now been instructed that they are going to have to start covering firefighters' cancer. As a result of that, then the work comp is going to be 25% on top of what the total fact is now. And that's something that just come to light last week. And I haven't even been able to put pen to paper yet to figure out how much that increase is gonna cost.
But we're getting prepared for it in our budget, right?
I didn't know it till this week.
I wasn't prepared for it when I did my initial budget, presentation, but, you know, when I was having my gout week. But this being my first time being through this process, I don't know what the next step of that is, but if there is another step, I'm gonna have to add that in there.
And the overall vehicle insurance increased because of a vehicle added. That was a big surprise too. And the explanation, I understand the parameters they use to increase on that one vehicle, but you're going to have to move money just to take care of that. Right?
Ma'am.
Okay. So we're doing everything we can to pay the bills now.
And I know Jeff in court here a while back, you brought up an issue of giving them more, supply money where they can kind of give each department some extra. And you come up with a number, I can't remember what it was, but we talked about this and Nelda discussed, kind of made a comment on it where we could give y'all the money. Y'all are responsible for buying your equipment, where purchasing don't have to tag every little piece of this equipment. I think it's a good idea. I'm one of five.
sir.
But you need to understand also by giving them that money, they can choose to spend it however they want.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna, if they do that, they will be back in court asking for more. Because they're gonna come into a situation, they don't have the money to pay the bill, whatever bill it is, whatever repair bill, whatever. And they'll be back at your door, so there has to be some kind of accountability.
Yes, yeah. And I
In
think
the
they'll be
budget.
good stewards of the money, but I agree with you. It needs to
So-
be some kind of
Remember, we
accountability.
gave them
Yeah,
an additional 70,000 just on Jeff's recommendation.
yeah,
So we're trying,
Yes.
guys, we're trying.
yeah. Well, I thought I'd bring that up. Make
On
it-
the conversation of subsidies, sorry, what I'd asked for was $10,000 more for each department on their annual subsidy. It could be wrong, but I think their last subsidy increase came when we dissolved the first responders board and each department got an additional $3,300 a year.
No,
That was the responder money that was coming before.
You disagree?
I disagree.
What was it then?
I can't remember, but I do remember Ray came in with an increase one year and it went through court. It was right before he left. Bruce remembers. So there was an increase. Again-
It wasn't a huge one, but it was an increase.
I have the numbers.
Becky,
I can look
do you
them up.
recall that it happened to be about $4,300?
What Ray did for us was, and some of y'all may remember, we run because the ambulance for us sometimes takes 15 minutes to get there. It does out in Toller, it takes longer to get to Lipan. We're paramedics, we're EMTs, we're first responders. And through all your funding back over with the hospital board business, when y'all have to put that hat on, you guys, the hospital was sending back to the fire departments a little bit of money that we used as a first responder budget that we used to buy equipment to be able to provide that service. And what Ray did was he said, this don't make a lot of sense for the county to send it to the hospital, to send it back over to the fire departments. I think Commissioner White's, this is ringing a bell now. And so what we did was we said, let's quit sending that to the hospital. Let's just add it into the money we're giving to the fire departments rather than it go that way to get back, just shoot it straight. And I believe that's the last time we kind of adjusted.
You could be correct on that.
But, I mean, we're not, once again, I wanna say, we're not sitting here throwing rocks at you guys.
Not at all.
And I hope we're not coming across that way.
No,
We're not meaning
no, I'm not
to.
taking it that way.
We're not trying to say you hadn't been taking care of us and all like that, but we'd be wrong if we weren't telling you what we're looking at today and seeing what's
Well,
over the mountain.
the future's gonna change with it, it keeps growing, it keeps
Yes, sir.
growing, so we gotta adapt to the growth. And I agree with y'all, I mean, y'all, I don't take it you throwing rocks, you're telling us your needs, and we try to do what we can.
You know, I know you can't wait till you refurbish a hopper truck to get air tankers. I mean,
that's,
That's not.
See, I didn't know it was going that route. I thought we was replacing each part with air pack.
well, you know, all of us are, one of the things and that always gets us in trouble with the purchasing is we're all trying to run on as tight a deal as we can.
Running on fumes.
And we're running on fumes,
Yeah.
and we try to play by the rules, and then we, you know, if we cut a corner, we don't mean to, but it happens to us sometimes, and I mean, she's come to me and said, look, you cut this corner, and I said, oh man, I didn't realize I did, you know, but we try to fix it back up.
Right.
But that's always gonna happen when you've got organizations like ours that are, you know, using our own guys as mechanics and things like that. We're trying our best to make sure that you don't come along and find us causing a problem for you. We're supposed to solve problems, not create them for y'all. And let some of you guys.
Does every fire department here, the first thing about those air packs, that's really important. I mean, you can't send anybody out there with a mask, not matching up. I mean, that's gotta be corrected. We need to try to do something. How many, I never did get a number, I think you asked, Bruce, how many air packs are we talking about?
If we replaced Pecan and we did Gary's, and what other one did we?
I
Well, I
think-
already have mine,
Huh?
but it's 5 per truck.
Private truck. I'm just trying to figure how many more we need.
Yeah, how many more do we
It'd be
do?
5 times what trucks are left,
it's a 7, so.
which we've done, of the 9 trucks you've
Right
done.
now, the
But there's 6.
that I have is for 54 air packs.
How many did you have?
54.
54?
That I have is for 54 air packs.
Minus,
So-
what, 15 of them that we've already done?
So my question is, why we wait to refurbish the trucks to get the air packs done? Why can't we go ahead and space the air packs out? I mean, it may be a dumb question, I don't
Well,
know.
that's sort of what we're asking y'all, if you could help us.
I thought we was
figure
doing
out
that. I
a
mean,
way to do that.
I didn't know we was waiting till the trucks got refurbished to get the air packs.
That's
I think,
our-
Yes.
I think we should be go ahead and
You guys
replacing
said,
air
you know,
packs and
we'd let
spacing them
everybody
out.
pay on air packs.
Yeah, well,
The city wants to
$293,000.
take care of that for
I
us?
mean, for like 5
Is
or
that why
6
you
years.
raised it?
We can do 5 or 6
See, that's what,
Yeah.
that Ray had to plan on doing, refurbishing so many a year.
And we did that, and then with the 70,000, they bought 13, so that was like
I wanna
2
do
years worth.
that.
We were
We
doing
gotta
5 a
do that.
year.
That's really
So you see,
important.
we're not
I mean, that's
behind yet.
critical. We think
You
so.
can't send somebody out with,
We're trying.
Yeah.
yeah, Mike.
Michael Ross, City Granbury. Thank you very much for doing this. Thank you for calling everyone together to have this discussion. And we agree, the fastest growing county in the nation, it may be time to say, we need to do more. The county may need to go to the taxpayers and say, this is what we need to do to have adequate fire service in our county, in all 9 volunteer fire departments. We agree with that. The days of surviving on barbecues and fish fries may be over Hood County. It may be time for all of us to step up and look at what's the right thing to do for all the citizens of Hood County. And of course, from Granbury's perspective, we think Granbury citizens are also Hood County citizens, and they deserve just to be treated fairly and equitably in wherever the county ends up in the agreement. And we hope to have an interlocal agreement with, like all the other volunteer fire departments with the county. And that's really Granbury's role. Matt may have more detail if needed from the volunteer fire department perspective.
So is the city wanting ESDs all through the county, or, I mean, how?
The city actually pursued discussions on an ESD a year or two, about 2 years back, just to see if that could be a viable solution for countywide. And I know that the chief at the time, Brent, went to the various fire departments and explored that, and it kind of fell on deaf ears from what I understood. It was not seen as the right time or any time in Hood County. It seems like it's worth exploring, and maybe it's worth having someone that's an expert in that field. That's your call, Commissioner and Judge, obviously, but it might be worth at least understanding those options that are out there to provide adequate service countywide. We just want to help wherever we can to do that same thing. Thank you.
Talk about ESD, it's another question I don't know, I'm asking y'all. If the county decided to go to that, what would happen to the county-owned equipment?
You It would be leased to the ESD.
If the court decided to lease it.
Yes, sir.
what Parker County did, because after Hood County, I said y'all kind of led when you bought those trucks that we're talking about refurbishing. A few years later, Parker County tried to copy you, and they bought a different type of truck. It wasn't near as good a truck as what, a serviceable truck. And now that Parker County has gone to a bunch of piecemeal ESDs, they got like ESD 8 already and like that. They eventually just titled those trucks over to the various ESDs. The court decided to donate them to those ESDs. That's what happened up there. Whether it's the right thing or not, I'm not really to say, but I'll tell you that's what happened up there.
So we'd get all the county equipment back, and we'd have to lease it back to them?
They could lease it back, what they did was they titled it over, they donated it to the various ESDs, is what happened up there. Whether that's the right thing, if it went that way or not, I'm not really the one to say, but I'll tell you that's what happened up there.
Well, I was wondering what would happen to the equipment. I've heard that, but.
That's what happened up there.
I only got a question for anybody that can answer that. With the ISOs, I've talked to my insurance company, and they talked about the premium. Let's say you have $1,000 a year premium, and about $200 of that $1,000 is only for the fire, for your fire, to protect your house on fire. The rest of it is mainly for hail and stuff. If you had an ISO rating of 5 and you go to 3, I'm being told that's not but like a 8% savings by going from a 5 to a 3, so it's like $16 a year. So, and I've heard, well, this is gonna be a wash. How is this gonna be a wash?
Crescent's ISO, and they do ISOs kind of complicated because you get one rating if you're within, it's either 5 or 7 miles of a station and 100,000 feet from a hydrant. Then you get another rating when you're out in the county away from the hydrant. And Crescent is a 3, ISO 3, then /8B if you're away.
What's Toller Lipan, y'all know?
We're a 4.8B. Toller,
I believe ours is I wanna say it's a 5.9, I think.
Okay. But is not the ISO rating affected on the infrastructure with water out in the county?
Well, yes, it is.
I mean, if you don't have the water, it's
When
not
you
gonna
go
affect
through
it.
the ISO rating, like if you're in the city of Granbury or in the city of Crescent, you have to go through how good is your water hydrants and your water system, and they go through what trucks do you have and how many, and it's a whole big audit of you. But some insurance companies pay a lot more attention than others. For instance, State Farm generally looks at, they sort of use zip codes and then say, okay, what's the experience of fire losses in this area? And use that to come back and set their insurance rate. Some insurance companies really pay a lot of attention to these ISO ratings. I probably get a call twice a month from someone buying a house in the Crescent area asking for a copy of our ISO rating, and I'm sure that there's a lot more people buying fire insurance and turning over than 1 or 2 a month. So I think what you're seeing and is that when you got big insurers like State Farm that are a little less impressed with the ISO rating, albeit that if the ISO works right, the fire losses should be less, kind of indirectly. I think that that buffers it a little bit. I've seen studies that say each point of change in an ISO ratings maybe 3% across, if you put it across everybody, which sort of matches the numbers that you've seen. I mean, we need to have good ISO ratings. We're all trying to do it for those that it pays attention to, but I'm not so sure that that's honestly the biggest, most important thing to us.
I just contacted last week about one of ours that the insurance says they're an ISO of 7 in the north part of the county, and that's kind of hard to believe because, well, we might have to challenge the ISO. I don't know who all does it, but I mean, what, a month ago, we proved we ought to be up there in around 2. But, you know, especially as close as the city is to my department and all our mutual aid agreements, I don't see why anybody should be calling my station and asking me why we're at a 7. So, and that may just be the certain insurance company, I don't know.
The one thing I can add to this is, from the city of Granbury's perspective for ISO, ISO's had a trend where it's basically been leaning more towards residential, and that's not just in the city, that's statewide. And so businesses themselves, whatever insurance they're using, are starting to lean further away from ISO. But ISO itself, the organization's making a pretty serious push about the last, I'm gonna call it 3 years, and they are doing everything they can to reestablish themselves as a marker for insurance. Now, obviously, that's a process and it takes time. But I've seen a lot of residential based off of ISO. From an inquiry point of view, we're seeing a lot more residential for ISO. But I can think of Harrison Composites, which is, I mean, it's literally a stone's throw just across the street into the county. And they had challenged their ISO rating. Because at the time, several years ago, they were an ISO 6. But literally, if you stepped on the street, it would be an ISO 3. And their savings was around $24,000 a year. So they had a very significant interest in pursuing that ISO rating.
I'm just trying to figure out how all this works.
Yeah, it's ISO, I don't know, short of bringing in like an actual ISO expert to be able to tell us what the actual percentage breakdown is. I can tell you with Hood County as a whole having these different ISO ratings that are on the lower side. Granbury Crescent being in an ISO 3, I can guarantee you that puts us in the top 10% in the country for an ISO rating. Multiply that by volunteer, we're not talking about a lot of departments that have that. The Hood County itself, having, you know, stages of ISO of 4 or 5, I can promise you that it's an exceedingly low number. Realistically, let's go to another county, they're 9. That's just the way it is. Now, how does that work for Hood County? Hood County, 3rd smallest county in the state, we have 9 departments. The investment of the pumper tankers, that's how we did it. Okay, we've had growth, development, water projects in that last 20 years to spider out and expand from our incorporated cities to give us more hydrant access, water access in the county. But at the end of the day, it's the investment in those pumper tankers that's what allowed these departments, Granbury included, to be able to make a push to that low ISO. Again, I don't know the exact numbers. Granbury, we're trying to push into a 2. If we do it, I honestly don't know of another 25 departments in the country that are able to get, as a volunteer department, into an ISO 2. If the city of Granbury gets that benefit, so does the county. Because that is how your guys' ISO around us dropped also. So the 2 are directly proportional. I'm sorry, I don't know the numbers, but I do know they're directly related, and it's primarily benefited to residential right now. But again, ISO organizations making a push to become a force again. They just aren't what they used to be.
I can tell you in Johnson County, there's only one department outside of Cleveland and Burleson that is below an ISO 3, and Godly a couple of years ago got down to a 2. But the reason they were able to pull that off is they have kind of like an AMUD equivalent in that area with a pretty decent water supply thing that helped them pull that off. And they, like Matt says, 3s, like if you believe ISO rates fire departments, your Hood County departments rate really good.
I know 3's
Three's
pretty good. I mean, I saw where Weatherford's in two, and I know only two ones I can find are like Plano and Frisco, and that's just because they have.
Fort Worth, and Steve can tell you, I think Fort Worth worked 4 or 5 years, and I don't know how many millions of dollars they spent to move from a 2 to a 1, so that you
It
can.
seems to be very difficult to do.
Yes, so that, I don't believe you'll see any of us saying we're gonna get to a 1. That's like a hole in one, and we don't do those.
I appreciate the information. I mean, I go to look and this is like French to me. I'm trying to figure all this out.
I think that's right, like I was trying to say, the ISO, I don't think it carries the weight that it used to, and, you know, they're trying to tout their number, and they're trying to get a little more, have a little more clout.
Well, what else, what's the other topic now?
I would like to address something Mr. Deaver said a few minutes ago, maybe clear something up. We did have it set up to where when the pumpers were refurbished, they would come back with new air packs. And I think I can say this, the refurbishing has gone so terribly wrong.
Yeah.
We really should be, I believe right now, and Jeff may correct me, I believe right now we should be working on trucks 5 and 6, and we're still at 2. So that's where the air packs have fallen in the crack of that, if you will. Because that was the plan, but it's gone bad, and we're trying to recover from that.
We fell through some cracks of different fire marshals and.
But the fire truck from Con, does it have 5 new air packs on it?
Yes, I think it does.
Yeah, from what I understand, they're,
It does.
go ahead.
Yes, it does have, and technically we're on the 3rd truck because we replaced engine 82, 6, and engine 70 have both been refurbed. 26 would have been the next one to go.
I guess money's the answer to everything, isn't it? But, we all need to just get the next big lottery that's coming up here, and we'll earmark it for volunteer fire departments here in Hood County. Like most people planning their retirement, isn't it? You see them down there? What is your retirement plan? Lotto ticket. But we're gonna have to do something. I see, oh, here she is. I thought you were trying to sneak out, Becky Kid.
No.
Well, what other topic do we need to discuss? Is there any other topic? I know what we need to do, and I have really.
Yeah, I have one.
Yeah.
Again, Matt Hoan, the chief of Granbury, like to just introduce myself to everyone again. Granbury, for the last 10 years, has not represented itself, the fire department, to the commissioners very well. And what I would like to do is just give you a brief overview of our department and just talk to you about trying to get back into the subsidy and how we would use it to supplement not only our apparatus that you guys own, but how it supplements into the area around us. This year, we're on pace for about 1,500 calls. Let me pull up my numbers real quick, and I can clobber you guys with number. I've got a saint of Excel, and he can throw a massive amount of information at us. So again, we're on pace for about 1,500 calls a year. Right now, in the month of January, we sent 168 apparatus on calls. February, 197. March, 128. April, 149. May, 192. Our average quantity of firefighters per call, and this is just any call at any time. Commercial structure fires, 11. Residential structure fires, 10. Vehicle fires, 7. Accidents, 12. We have a large department in the center of the county. We're the center hub. And because Granbury's the center, we have a tendency to be the next due-in for the departments around us. That adds to our higher call volume. We've also got the benefit of 377, lots of accidents there, and we have a lot of commercial alarms. When we go out in the county, we're working with everyone that's around us, and I have a hard time describing it how flawless it is. it's taken us a long time to be able to get to this point. And when we have a call in town, these guys come to us, okay? And it's not a question, it's not what's going on, do we have time, what's the reimbursement? We rely on each other, and we have to have each other. And what I'm requesting with the subsidy, and I've got a simple budget I can show you, is what I'll do with that money and where it goes and how it'll be used on engine 6 and tanker 1 and the 2 brush trucks. And it'll also supplement into our fuel and into our training field and into our high angle and swift water teams. And what we can do with this is continue to build off of it. It doesn't just have to stop with the mutual aid there. These departments are already working together at a level that I'm not sure everyone in the county and city actually knows. We provide an academy. We provide an academy to our own members. We've offered the county departments to come down and join. Just by proxy, because I've been involved in training for 10 years in Granbury, I about know every single person on our department because I've had something to do with their training. We don't do it at a cost, we do it from a safety point of view. The more that everyone knows around us, the safer we are on scene. And that's all it's about. The training isn't just some random training, it's to a standard. It's to a state standard. I've taken just people in Granbury, 24 guys to certification. About 8 or 9 of them have gone paid off of that. So our training is to a standard, and it's to a high standard. And that's just one facet of where the county departments work together and how it benefits us when we're on scene. You supplement that with the apparatus that you provide to Granbury Volunteer Fire Department. That equipment's heavily used by us all the time. And it is. It's critical to how we work with the other departments. Because again, Hood County doesn't have a ton of hydrants around it. So the 2 main apparatus that we're bringing to a structure fire or a wildland fire is water. And that's what we need. And vice versa. When the county's coming into the city, what we're not interested in is the water. We've got the hydrants, but we need the people. We need the tools, we need the equipment. And that's what I'm trying to get Granbury back into and show you a justification for our inquiry on requesting the subsidy and to show all of our finance people how we'll be spending the money. There was a challenge just a little bit ago about coming back for more money. If we budget properly for Granbury, okay, and I can show you exactly how and where that money will be used. The request is just that one subsidy a year for us. That's where we're at with it and what we can do with that. Simple breakdown for us and for many volunteer fire department is at the end of the day is your apparatus. It's a one-time cost that's approximately once every 20 to 25 years. And then from there you have the loose equipment that you put on the truck, and then you have the air pads and hose and gear. At the end of the day, it's 4 things. Now the loose equipment can be axes, chainsaws, fans, but from our, oh, go ahead.
I got a question for you. Y'all the only fire department that has the jaws of life?
No.
County?
No,
I was told that to answer.
no. Every department around us has a set. Yeah.
That's good to know. I'm just.
Yeah. The one thing that I will add to that is, and the other chiefs will have to make a correction to me on this. That extrication equipment is incredibly expensive. And from what I understand, all the departments around us, including Granbury, we've had to buy that ourselves. Is that correct?
We're carrying 2 sets, and we got 1 set through the Firehouse Subs grant, so that's how we come up with it. And the other one, I got another county to buy, put it in Hood County, so don't say anything about that. we got a railroad track, you know, and we kinda have to worry about both sides.
What is y'all's city budget? I mean, your
For operations, it's, it's either 128 or 138,000 for this year, for operations. And that took us through, like I said, that'll be 1,500 calls. I do not know what it was last year, okay? It was plus or minus, we'll say 15,000 of that, maybe 20,000 in the operations side, and that was 1,200 calls. And that includes city and county.
The 1,500 calls of that, counting medical and fire all together?
Yes. Yeah, that's anything and everything that we're toned to. Now, the actual budget is bigger because, you know, we have stations bills, and then we also have personnel bills. But the actual operations budget was 138,000. But that's, at the end of the day, that is my goal here, is to get Granbury reintroduced to you guys and let you know that we're not just this weird island in the middle of the county. And we do work extensively with the departments around us, and realistically on a daily basis. And we rely on each other. We need each other. That's the important thing to know out of this, is that I truly believe that no department could just stand on their own. You're gonna have to have mutual aid from somewhere. It's gonna have to happen. Question is do you set yourself up to be like Stephenville, where your mutual aid comes from Brownwood, Cleburne, Glen Rose, and Weatherford? Or do you set yourself up like Hood County, where your neighbors, the furthest neighbor away, in our case, is Lypan? The next closest departments, I mean, we have departments that are literally within feet or inside the ETJ for the city. I mean, our neighbors are right here. This is why our call response times are so good. Now, we get the benefit of a small county, but you have 9 departments that are right next to each other, and our travel times just aren't that far. And when we start isolating ourselves and we go out of our way to make sure that we are separated, we're not benefiting anyone. The only person that's gonna suffer is the citizen. That's who loses in this. And that's what I'm trying to make aware here is that we are trying to get that subsidy to supplement our county apparatus that you guys own, that you provide.
So are you asking for the same subsidies each month as everybody else?
Yes. And whatever our dollar amount is, the proposed budget that I wrote to give you guys is off of what Jeff had proposed earlier on the $10,000 increase, but maybe that's not feasible this year just because of the economic increase or crisis. I understand that. Whatever the 9 departments get, this budget that I provide will be just those numbers plugged right into this. That's how I'll use it. And if you guys have another way that you would prefer to see that money spent, I'm all ears for it. We can sit there and discuss any changes that you think needs to be made to that budget and that proposal.
I'd say one thing, I appreciate all y'all do. I mean, I go out when there's fires in Toller and watch how y'all operate and everything and kind of see what y'all do, and we greatly appreciate y'all. And I know y'all make a sacrifice to serve the people of Hood County, and I just want to say I appreciate y'all. And y'all do make a sacrifice. I know the guys get out there in the heat, it's hot, and it's uncomfortable, but they still get out and do it, and just say thank y'all.
I know when I go to other counties and the fire departments are brought up, Hood County is always brought up as well thought, because they're amazed that you have such a good volunteer fire department, you know, that's not paid. And, I mean, everybody brags on it, and I've been to other counties down south, and I hear it.
Well, I'd like to say this, being on the corner of 3 other counties, I mean, Parker County is the furthest away from our department there in Lypan, and it's 3 miles. We deal with Palo Pinto County, and you're talking about the ISO ratings. Palo Pinto County won't put Lypan Fire Department on their map. I have to write letters to insurance agencies because right there in that corner, your ISO rating is 10. Because you're waiting on Santo, which is 13 miles away. It's a weird ESD board deal going over there in Palo Pinto County. ERAF, you touched on it there just a little bit. That's a train wreck with ERAF County and Stephenville Fire Department. That is a disaster, and I implore you guys to make that work with Granbury and the county, because that's to have a department that only responds inside the city limits, and then to have a whole nother department that you have to staff, buy equipment for, the building, the electricity and everything else, to respond to the calls just outside the city limits. It's nuts. That's a terrible, terrible plan. And, you know, one thing that I wanted to give kudos and thanks to you guys, because we do, and Ron will agree with me on this, I'm sure, looking at some of these other counties, we do have a really good thing going on here in Hood County. And I think that's in no small part to the way that whole thing, the men sitting in here, there's no, you know, we have our little fun rivalries and play pranks on each other, but, you know, when it comes time to do business, we've got each other's back. This county is way, way, way better about that than some of the surrounding stuff, I promise you.
You guys, and I tried to say it, but we can't thank you enough. Like I say, when y'all, whether you were here or not, these pumper tankers were bought, and it was a cutting edge thing. And for the reason why you look at these tax rates and you see good fire protection in Hood County at a fraction of the cost of some of these other counties, is some of the ways that you guys have steered the thing over the years. And you have, you've done things to support the volunteer side of it. What a lot of these other counties have got themselves into is saying, well, we better hire some people to cover parts during the day and stuff like that. And I dare anyone around here to point to one of these departments around that has tried to mix these paid guys with the volunteer guys and show that it works really well. You talk to the chief and he'll tell you it works really well, but what I see them out on the ground, it's very difficult. It'd be just the same as for you guys. One of you said, well, okay, Eagle will just volunteer, but White will be a paid, you know, there's a tension that develops that. I was in business for a long time, and I would not know how to manage that impressive, that interaction. I can tell you to work on paper, but that's thinking people are robots, and we're not robots, and it's tough. And that's where a lot of these other counties have got themselves into, where they have chosen to dabble with this paid component and things, and that's why you guys, by having been supportive of the volunteer side of it so long, you've saved a lot of money for your taxpayers, and you still delivered the goods. And I think you're to be commended for that, seeing other counties like Crescent and Lipan where we have to, you know, we work with these other ones, and y'all ought to be proud of that.
Judge, I got one more comment, and it's kind of for you guys, going back to E1. Do y'all see any other source? Maybe y'all'd rather go another direction than E1. I know E1, way I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, they have the parts. So if you contract out to another department, another contract to refurbish the pumpers, would they have to buy the parts from E1 too?
Yes, sir.
And I think,
They
Nellie,
sort-
you got anything on that?
Yes. Okay, because of the cost, per local government code, it's gonna have to be bid out. It was exempted before because Ray came in and said it's a sole source. Well, going back to the state and the different entities in the state, it is not a sole source, because you can have someone else do the repair, even though they may have to go to E1 to get the parts. So we can't just give it back to E1 anymore. It will have to have the specs written and everything else, and it will have to be bid out. E1 can bid on it, but I know there are numerous places, some a lot closer than E1, that could possibly bid on it. For those of you that don't know, I'm married to a former firefighter, so I've had conversations with him, and in dealing with this in the last 12 years I've been here, I know we've actually done business with some others in Arlington and, places that do that. So, it's gonna have to be a bid out situation, and that is gonna take time, so if we need to do that, we need to get moving.
You know, one of the things with E1, like when my radiator, when the fan went through my radiator, we sent my engine over here at Mansfield to repair place. For them to replace that radiator, they had to go through E1 to get that radiator. It's like a Chevy and a Ford, you
Right.
just can't, you know.
Right, and I understand that.
But, they ended up repairing it. I don't remember what the cost was, but they ended up repairing my radiator because of the cost of buying it from E1.
That's kind of my comments for y'all. How do y'all feel about that?
I don't care who
Get the best
does
bang
it.
for your buck?
I don't care who does it, and I want you to do it the cheapest you can and get the quality product.
Quality work.
That's
how I brought it up. I wanted to see how
Yes.
y'all felt about it.
Yeah, the only thing that I would add to that is, and I agree with everything that was just said here, is that when it goes out to bid, just be wary of, Uncle Nick's bait barn and fire truck refurb shop.
Yeah.
Cause he's gonna come in at, 2/3 less, well, you're gonna get 2/3 less on that refurb.
Yeah.
Just,
Good quality work.
yeah, that's the big thing, is just make sure that they meet whatever stipulations you have in your contract.
And always
hold their feet
cheapest
to the
bid
fire
ain't the
on
best
that.
bid either way.
Yeah.
And we don't
If I may, I have an interjection.
go ahead.
So when we started this process last time, I know there were several companies that we had talked to in the refurb. A lot of them touch it for what we were asking them to do. There are a lot of places that do fire truck repair, a few that will do a frame up refurb. I know there's one other place in Arizona that I guess does fire truck refurbs, and they do several different models of fire trucks. And I don't know if they quoted on the last one or not. No, the other companies we contacted this last time, we had some that told us they couldn't do it. Now, then I do have one other option. I did get a quote for replacing with new trucks. Instead of the 300,000, you're looking at up to 560 to 600,000 a truck.
Well, we go by best value is what we call it. We don't do low bid anymore. We try to determine what's the best value to Hood County, and that's usually done through, it's an evaluation team. I don't make that decision.
I guess what Nell is trying to say is we have to go out for bid to try it again.
We have to do
And
that legally.
if they can't do what we ask, then we have to go to the person that can do what we ask. And some mechanics that work on fire trucks are not refurbishers. And refurbishing is a different identification of just working on a truck.
And
So
I can put that out to
Yeah.
all the purchasing agents in the state. I have a listserv and ask them who have they used, they can give us suggestions.
Are any of these on the cooperative purchasing?
I don't know. I've not ever seen a refurb on cooperative.
The one thing I want to add real quick is I want you guys to know how unique this conversation is that we're having right here. I know it's exploratory. Hood County's investment and commitment to fire protection from just this angle that we're having right now, it's an incredibly rare discussion. Hood County's not just unique in the area, it's unique in the state, it's unique in a region, it's unique in the country. This is exceedingly rare. A lot of people, it's real simple to just sit there and say, let's find other avenues to address this problem so we can step away from it. And again, just thank you for your time, energy, and effort in just having this discussion. It's a hard discussion to have at the end of the day. It's an incredibly hard discussion. Because trying to find a company that's even remotely close to the state of Texas to do this work, the fact is fire trucks aren't made anywhere near Texas. The closest major manufacturer is Florida. Outside of that, it's the Rust Belt. You've got to go to Minnesota or Wisconsin or Ohio or Pennsylvania. And to be able to even sit down and have this discussion and continue a serious look at how to adequately provide your fire protection in your county, because you're doing it. You've done it. You did it 20 years ago, and it's been going on the whole time. And being able to try and find that avenue is, all I ask is just anything that you need from us, questions, concerns, comments, please ask, because there is options out there. Whether it be a serious advancement in just saying, well, maybe we need to buy new trucks, and there's hazards to buying that, particularly with the investment in the DEF systems. It's an incredibly expensive proposition, and I can tell you as the city of Granbury that we have 4 of those apparatus, and having the DEF and regen systems on the trucks can be a problem. There's a lot of work that goes into maintaining that system. So the appeal of the refurbishment, not only from a cost point of view, but also from a long-term cost point of view on the maintenance side, makes a significant impact. The companies that can do this work is limited at the end of the day. The benefit of going to E1 is that they're the ones that literally built the truck, and they're the ones that are literally going to have all of the specialized tooling and parts ready to go back onto the apparatus. And when we start looking at other companies, it's the extra added cost of having to pay for shipping for stuff coming in is going to be something that we'll have to look at. I know there's a solution to it, and I know we can work through it. But this is a mountain of a task, and you guys already know that. You're already into one contract, and
Well, what got me
getting trucks
kind of a little heartburn with E1, they sent the trucks back and they wasn't fixed,
Yeah.
and that burnt my butt.
And we would get
I mean,
several
yours was
different
the first one, wasn't
invoices.
it? And we couldn't even run it for 6 months. And I think the president has got wind of this, talking to Jeff, and he's trying to work it out and make it right for the mistakes they made before. But that really got me when they sent the truck back and we couldn't run it. And I really got a lot of heartburn with that.
Our engine was out of service for 14 months.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That's why I'm afraid to send mine.
Yeah.
And
And maybe if we do go to E1, is say, hey, do a contract where we're not paying till it's can be out on the road.
Well, that's what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
We've been waiting a long time for the second unit to be functional.
Yeah.
And then Jeff and I have been going back and forth over the invoice. There's an increase in the invoice, and we've got to determine where it is. I'm gonna probably get with Katie and actually listen to the minutes to determine if they agreed upon an amount.
Right.
Because neither Jeff nor I can find that. It talks about the wheels, Mr. White's wheels. But I want to assure all of you here, it's never far from the Commissioner's Court. We're working toward making sure that these get refurbished.
And they're
But we
working
didn't-
when we get them.
And we didn't get good numbers from the appraisal district yet. He was very conservative, and so with what he sent us, we've cut our budgets. Every department. There's not a department in Hood County that did not get a cut, so that we could try to get to where we need to be when July 25th comes. I'm hoping and praying we get better numbers, but that's where we're also crippled. So just pray, really, that things change and turn around, and that we get better numbers and we can help you more. But you are never far from our minds. We know we need to budget for 2 more. We're doing everything we can.
The only way that we can be informed is listening to y'all. I mean, that's the only way we can make a decision. You know, the more information we get, it's easier for the court to make a very good decision. I know I've talked to Steve long, few times when I first got in office. But these meetings like this is where it really helps the court members.
And the taxpayers of Hood County might believe that fire protection countywide is important enough to consider paying more.
Absolutely.
That's just a thought.
You understand where we're coming from.
Very much so.
You've probably seen some of the same numbers. Okay, so you know where the vote is. It's on dry land.
Well, I think we all agree, Jeff's doing a great job. As the chiefs, when we got together with Jeff, we actually asked Jeff to set this meeting up, just so that we could show our concerns about the future. You know, there for a while, I think we all felt for about the last year, when fire marshals were changing hands, that we were kind of just being forgot about. Everything that we had in the process of being done was going down in the sink, you know. We just kind of wanted to express our concerns and say, hey, you know.
And I think, I mean, we don't want it to just be us telling y'all, oh, you need to do this. I mean, we're here. If there's something we need to do better for y'all, please tell us, because don't think, I can promise you, the only time Crescent Fire Department does not screw up on a call is when we get canceled before the truck rolls out the door. And we goof up every other one, and so if we're doing something wrong, or we're not doing what you think we ought to be doing, please tell us, because we'll try.
Well, that's where we go back to Jeff's kind of the spokesman for y'all. Jeff comes through my door pretty often, too much sometimes. Right, Jeff? But Jeff is in real good contact.
Yes, sir.
And I request that, I want to be in the loop, because Jeff is y'all's spokesman, and I want to know what's going on.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm a concerned citizen. I'm nobody right now, but in the process that I'm involved in right now, I've been approached about the ESDs, and it's been brought up, and it was brought up that in past that they had gone to. This is a unique situation with everybody in this room. Is there any thought or collaboration on an ESD that would be countywide, an agreement between y'all? And if not, the agreements that we've all talked about that are so crucial to the ability that we have as firefighters here in this county, would any of that be compromised if we have individual ESDs that are not unified?
Well, I tell you, ESDs might be great. I'll tell you, my department wise, I had a mutual aid agreement with Weatherford, or with Spring Creek ESD. We only made 3 calls over there, and for me to get the $175 for making my run over there, I had to fill out a stack of paperwork like that for 1 month. I won't do it again. I'll eat that money. But some of my concerns is if the ESD comes in and decides, oh, our department's personal equipment, trucks, this and that is no good to them, they want to sell it, they want to tear my station down and build another station half a mile down the street, I can tell you my firefighters are going to say, 5 new firefighters too, you know.
I've heard that, yeah.
That's not how it works, but you're right.
I'm just saying,
That's not
they
how it works.
they did that, my firefighters see it because they did it to Tin Top. They trashed Tin Top Station, got rid of their equipment, went down the road, built a new station, called it Station 44, or ESD 44, or whatever they call it, Spring Creek.
To specifically answer your question on mutual aid agreements, it would have to be redrawn because you would be dealing with a different entity, a different county entity, but they would wind up being the same for the reasons that Matt expressed earlier.
Well, that's why I was asking. His concern saying that it took, he won't go on mutual aid now because of the money that he couldn't get with that other department. If we have Department A over here, or whatever it is, on one side of the county that is an ESD, is that gonna compromise some of the agreements that we have, or the willingness to make those agreements?
Now, if you wanted to set up an ESD, which is kinda close to what we have right now as Hood County Fire Services, where the chiefs express their concern to a board, which right now is commissioners and the judge, you know, let us run our own departments. Just, the ESD does the 10% taxing on the taxes, you know, however you wanna work it out, that'd be great.
I think the ESD conversation's for another time.
Yeah.
I think it's an option.
Thank you.
But I think what we're talking about today is, and I would express it this way, if you go back 10 years and look at what we're doing then, and you project ourselves 10 years out from now, probably none of us can operate the way we're operating now. And there's a lot of components to that, so we're here
Steve, just to
today.
bounce off of that with what you're talking about, 10 years. You guys were asking about numbers earlier, okay? I pulled it up, okay? 2010, Hood County ran 3,008 calls. In 2019, it was 5,911. So you had a 2,000 call volume increase. And that's everyone. That's everyone combined, okay? So you had a 2,000 call increase across the board for everyone. I've got the percentage breakdowns. I'll just glance at it real quick. It's boils down to, it's the last page. But Granbury's had a 40% call increase in the last 10 years. North Hood's had 116%. Crescent's 130%. Degranova's 52%. Indian Harbor's 58%. Lipan is 70%. Station 70 is 46%. Pecan is 26%. Toller's 50%. Total increase, average across everyone's a 55% call volume increase in the last 10 years.
And, what's your point?
Well, the point is that sooner or later, we're gonna have to sit there and figure out what we're gonna be able to do to provide our fire service. The state of Texas has gone in and made it extremely difficult for cities to be able to annex out into the county. These aren't city problems. These will be sitting in your lap. Because your county's gonna have exponential, unprecedented growth. So right now, the discussion we're having, and it is just a discussion, trying to figure out a possible solution and prepare for your unprecedented growth. Because this point on, because Granbury won't be able to just continually explode outwards. Same for Crescent, Toller, or these other incorporated cities. We may not have the percentage growth of 55%, or in this case, I think our number was 40% in the next 10 years. Hood County will, though. You may have a bigger growth. That's coming.
There ain't no way it will be a bigger growth.
Right.
Mr. Eagle, my point is, we're probably gonna have to change the way we operate to accommodate the growth and the call volume. And you guys are uniquely situated to understand the growth part of it. And we have to answer, as fire service, we have to answer those calls. So instead of reacting to something bad that happens to us, we can be proactive in this regard. And I know that's what you guys are trying to do, and that's what this meeting is about, to let you know that down the road, we kind of see a train wreck coming, and maybe we can avoid that. The train wreck's probably not a good analogy, but we see some difference coming. Don't think we can operate the way we're operating now 10 years from now. So we can change that and make it a smoother transition than it would be.
What else? Anybody else got anything else? This is a lot to absorb here. Becky,
I think,
dropping your pencil down, let's find some money.
I think we can get 15 air packs for them now. Would that help?
Anything will help, but.
And how do you distribute them out to these?
I mean, I've got 10 packs, 15 bottles, and 10 of the bottles are out of date. I didn't say that because I'm still using them, but, you know, it's.
And I
because
appreciate
we're
you
waiting
finding
for
it.
the packs to be replaced from our refurb, so.
I guess that'd be Jeff's job, figuring out how to distribute
One,
these
one
parts.
of the things that's also hurting me is we actually put in for a forestry grant 2 years ago?
About 4 years ago.
We put one in 4 years ago, we put one in 2 years ago, we still haven't been approved for them. Every time we call, they're waiting. We're next up, whatever. I've heard different stories. We're still waiting for our grants. I've probably got $30,000 worth of grant out there that I got money in the bank waiting to match them. But until they're approved, it's just promises I can just sit on. Either that or pay full price for everything. So,
You know, I don't know how you're gonna pick and choose who gets the air packs now and who's gonna have to wait. You know, it's a lot
I guess,
different.
Jeff, you're the one that's gonna have to talk to everybody, aren't you?
Jeff's gonna have to coordinate it.
About the air packs, the availability of how are you gonna be able to distribute them if we got 15 and what we can do. I really would like to push that. I mean, air packs, sending people out with an air pack, you just can't do that. I mean, that could really come back and bite you, so.
You're gonna need masks.
Well,
That includes the mask.
can I just forward a quote to Becky?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
And now.
Becky, yes.
Say that again?
Wait, sorry. Just forwarded a quote to Becky. If we get the 44 that we need to cover all the county trucks that are left over, it's $254,000
I don't have that
and a little
money.
change.
I don't have that kind of money. We can do 15 right now and work from that point. Because our year's winding down, we still have to take care of other county entities. I know that some issues have come up recently, so the Fund 55 money, that's our like emergency fund. But right now, I got your quotes and I figured 5,600 per air pack, do 15, $84,000
In this year's budget.
in this year's budget. Next year's budget is around the corner and we can work we'll work in that one. But right now, today, I can find $84,000 for today.
Well, the new budget's right around the corner too, so
Well,
hopefully.
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so hopefully,
I so moved.
You like that
Does that
idea?
make any difference to anybody?
It's be up to Jeff.
so moved.
We can get it on the agenda and be up to Jeff to figure out how to distribute it to y'all.
Yes, sir.
That's his job.
I'm glad y'all all get along well, so
Yeah.
y'all won't have to have a duel or anything to decide who gets, y'all could work that out.
Jeff will
Yep.
help us figure that out. We'll
Yeah.
take anything you get us.
Yeah, good. Okay. Mike?
Judge, the goal hopefully would be to update these 9 county fire department agreements with a new amount that could be considered October 1 as part of the new county budget that could look ahead and comprehensively and adequately fund those departments in an equitable way countywide to take care of all your county residents. And to look at that, that's what I know Matt has drawn up, is one scenario that the county could consider. That would fall those parts of the Granbury department that could probably assist and help the other departments in an equal way. If y'all are willing to take a look at that, we've got it to share. We've sent it to Jay.
Well, I like everybody working well together. That's mutually benefit to everybody, isn't it? I mean, that's what I'm hearing from all of y'all, that y'all like the little practical jokes on each other, but when it comes down to fighting a fire, y'all fight the fires. I've
we do
seen
play
that.
good together.
I really have seen that, and I was really impressed out at the ranch a few years ago to see how y'all, I thought I was watching Chicago Fire setting up the station, and I mean, y'all really did do a fabulous job, really.
We've all had calls in our district, within even just the last 5 years. I go back to Echo Grant, which was a gigantic event for not only Granbury, but for the county, and the amount of resources that we pulled in for it. And, you know, Ron's had the chemical plant fire. I mean, we've all had just huge events that require us to call mutual aid. I mean, again, and it's just that interdependency on each other. We do work on each other and rely on each other so much. And it's a benefit that we have highlighted recently as chiefs when we're talking to each other, our ability to not worry about who's coming in, because we just know that when they're done, they're coming. And it's minus travel time, they'll be there. And it's something that we have, I don't want to say put to the wayside, but we don't acknowledge it enough to each other. And we have this year. I know this year it's happened. And there's been some really incredible events just this year that we've seen on fire scenes where your volunteers are making some incredible fire attacks and incredible responses. And persons' lives, property is saved because those volunteers are working together. It's not just one department. It's all 9.
Okay, anything else? I like these meetings like this. This will be good here. We're gonna put something on the agenda then, Becky, for the next Commissioners Court.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good deal. My door's always open. If y'all need, have anything, come by and see me. I'm gonna come check it, both of y'all too. And everybody, I think, here. I'm gonna make it the rest of us. Thank all of y'all. Y'all do a fabulous job. I mean, y'all really are true heroes. I mean, really, and to do this selflessly like you do, we owe y'all a great attitude, really. Thank y'all very, very much.